The only thing we have absolute power over in this world is our mind and our thoughts. Hypnotize yourself to the version that you want to be. I'm like, okay, I need rest. I just, all screens off, maybe go outside, take off my shoes and my socks, touch grass and sort of ground myself. The fact is that as humans, it's actually very rare for us to live in the moment. Wow, you touched on a very, very good point, which is you actually reject some of the clients that are maybe not fully aligned with the mission of your company.
Yes, but if you are connecting with the right people, the journey is way better.
When you're in the journey, you're caught up with this client, that client, and you can lose the overall vision of where you're headed.
All right, hello guys. Welcome to another episode of the Think Forward podcast. As you can see, we're here at Web Summit. So this is day one. I thought potentially to sort of document my journey. I was trying to bring a cameraman with me, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. But I will document and create a vlog with people I meet and the stories I will tell in a recent episode. So stay tuned. This video will probably be in the episode, but this is the opening act. So thank you guys for joining, and see you guys in the next shot. Here we have actually a camera. So if you can see here, this is where the lens is. So this is what they use to sort of map out what the event looked like for just, I guess, the records and stuff like that. So they go around, and this thing actually spins. So that camera's over there, and this keeps spinning, and sort of gets like a 360, which I've never seen this technology, and I just wanted to share with you guys. Just a real quick snippet. And actually, I think he's pulling up some footage, so I'll show you guys some footage in the next scene.
So this is their podcast booths. Hello. And so they have, the media have access to this, and sort of you can see other people having interviews as well. And this is like a cool setup that they have. This is one of the 6 rooms that they have, but yeah.
Hey, Mindful Tribe, welcome to the show. Once again, I'm really excited because I have a guest here that has the whole world ahead of him because he just graduated as a computer science person. He's got a Bachelor of Computer Science from Simon Fraser University in Burnaby. And he's an AI startup founder. He has a podcast called The Think Forward Podcast, and he's been doing that for 2 years, so he's really into that podcast. I'm here today with Sadra Khorvash. Sadra, are you in mindfulness mode today?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So, Sadra, what does mindfulness mean to you, if I were to ask you that question?
Mindfulness. I think the first thing that comes to mind is just sort of being aware of where your mind is taking you, because I believe the only thing we have absolute power over in this world is our mind and our thoughts. So if you can truly know and, maybe sometimes meditate to sort of like get all the bad thoughts away, and the same way we exercise in a way that we get the toxins out and we are feeling good, it's good to sort of step back and meditate sometimes and clear up some of those gunk that sometimes goes there.
So Sadra, tell me about your meditation practice.
So the way I do it, actually, it's been a week now that I have recorded myself on 432 hertz, which I speak to myself in a way that, I do not procrastinate. And I've recorded myself, it's like a 2-minute recording, and I listen to it right before I go to bed and right when I wake up. And that's where your mind is at an altered state, that it could sort of, you hypnotize yourself to the version that you want to be, which is, the best. We all want to be the best versions of ourselves. And so I speak about, I'm a money-making machine, I do not procrastinate, my core values, sort of. That's one thing that I do. And sometimes when I feel fatigued when I'm working or in sort of the flow zone and I'm like, okay, I need rest, I just, all screens off, maybe go outside, take off my shoes and my socks, touch grass. I love to ground myself sort of till
bare feet to the grass. And I think that's where the electricity flows. And I sometimes as well, for 15 minutes, you're just sort of thinking about nothing, really. That's the most important thing, because even if you practice right now to think about nothing, it's much harder than you would imagine, because there's always these thoughts coming in, and what do I do tomorrow? The fact is that as humans, it's actually very rare for us to live in the moment. Like, if you think about it, you're thinking potentially about the past, about what we should do next, and sort of being present is so valuable because we're living in now, and thinking about future or past, maybe it will not suit us. So these are just little things that I do. I wouldn't say I'm best at it, but I'm just finding my groove as well. So
Right. So you record mantras and play them over and over for yourself. Is that right?
that's correct, twice a day.
And do you put them on repeat, or do you just listen to them once? How does
I
that?
listen to it once, like first thing I wake up, I'm like still lousy, I haven't fully woken up, grab my phone, press play, and just sort of go back to bed and just listen to it. It's like a 2-minute, very small snippet, but it helps me. Like I'm sort of, it's engraved in my brain that when I'm going about my day, I remind myself of my core values, and it's sort of valuable to me that I have that reminded to me every single day.
Right. That's fantastic. So do you ever have to remind yourself to change your thinking? Like, do you ever find yourself thinking negative thoughts and then you have to stop and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to think positive thoughts?
Definitely. I also play semi-professional badminton.
Okay.
So when I'm at sports and we're, for example, losing a singles match against another opponent, it's so easy to think negatively and thinking like, oh, maybe I'm going to lose this game. But it's just one step at a time, really. And that's what it is. And just being aware of that. So guys.
Really bright.
Yeah. So guys, we were in a podcast booth, and unfortunately we got kicked out. So we sort of moved here and continue the conversation.
Yeah, it's great to continue this conversation, Sadra. So we were talking about your meditation practice, and you said that you record some basically mantras, aren't they? Tell us about this and what this process is like for you and how it helps you.
I figured it out a week ago. I've only started for a week now. And what it does, it reminds you of who you want to be. So in these mantras, I have 15 statements that are maybe in the person that I aspire to be, these statements are true. And so now, how do I get there? For example, I'm here in this state and the person I want to be is there. And so there's a gap. And how can I fulfill that as fast as possible? And that's really comes down to the personal growth aspect. And so through these mantras, I just remind myself that, hey, I am that. And when I do remind myself, I act in that certain way, and I always have in the back of my mind every decision that I make. For example, one of them is I sit up straight and with a good posture, present myself, and that's one of them. And so, these little things all add up, and eventually I will get there very soon.
So Sadra, what's your biggest challenge in life right now as you're launching your career and moving forward?
That's a great question. In my podcast, I always ask, what's the biggest challenge that you have as well? So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. The biggest challenge that I have is probably procrastination. I sometimes find myself potentially scrolling on Instagram or social media for like 30 minutes, and I thought that time is wasted per se. You don't get a lot of value, and it's like sort of brain rot, as they call it. So these distractions, it's funny, the world that we live in currently, it's the easiest to become successful, but it's also never been easier to be distracted.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's a double-edged sword, and just balancing that is probably my biggest challenge currently.
Yeah, I was noticing that on the way over. I came over here on the C bus this morning, and I noticed that the people that are sitting there, almost every single person is just scrolling, just watching their device, and nobody's saying hi to anybody, nobody's chatting, everybody's just completely absorbed in probably nothing, right? Just probably just mindless stuff. I do it myself, and it's really frustrating. I think we're going to come to a point in the world where we're going to say, hey, what are we doing to ourselves as human beings? This is unbelievable. I mean, I lived at a time when we didn't do that. It wasn't a perfect time, but I think there's a real problem with us all being so absorbed in just scrolling all the time, don't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I believe this will come back to bite us a lot. And right now, we have never been so connected on social media, but also disconnected at the same time. There's no person-to-person real value conversation anymore. It's just,
I feel like everything's fake.
yeah, it's just likes and comments and what is exactly? It's fake.
Yeah, and what can I put on there where I'll get a lot more likes and I'll get shares and all this, and I'm like, that's not even real. It's not the real world. It's not real life.
Exactly. So it's good to maybe have an hour or two a day to just, fully go offline and, go for a walk, touch grass, and just, connect with the nature, because I think that's where we've come from.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Hey, real quick, if you're still here, this is clearly resonating with you, so I'm asking for a quick favor. Right now, over 99% of people watching aren't subscribed. It takes 2 seconds by hitting subscribe and like, tells the platform that this is worth spreading. And by doing so, that helps us bring better guests and continue delivering high quality content. Also, if you know just one person that would get value from this, send this to them right now. That's how this show grows. It's person to person, no ads and no algorithms. So, like, subscribe, and share this to someone that you care about. It means the world to me, and it truly makes all the difference. All right, let's get back to the good stuff.
So tell me, you've got a computer science degree. What are you going to do with that? What are you excited about when it comes to your degree and your abilities that you've developed?
So I'll tell you the full story. So when I finished high school, my aunt, she's a realtor in West Vancouver, very successful. And I was her assistant. I was like, hey, I potentially want to be a realtor. Because you come out of high school, you're not sure exactly what you want to do.
Sure.
And I told my mother, she was like, no, you have to get a bachelor's, because she's an engineer. My father has his doctorate in aerospace, and very educated family. And so I was like, okay, sounds good. So I went to computer science, studied that, and I fell in love with it truly. Like, the world of just being able to create something out of nothing with your knowledge is fascinating to me. And so I started my entrepreneurship journey November of 2023. That's when I realized that, hey, this path that I'm going, most of the graduates in this degree are just going to be working for another company. And I didn't have that mindset per se to work for someone else and just be another number of employee for a company. And so I actually had a call with my ex-co-founder. He's a very successful guy. He's been part of a startup who they have a 9-figure evaluation right now. And so I called him. I was like, hey, what startup, what genre do you think I should go? Like, do you have any ideas? Can you guide me? And he told me, go to truck dispatching, which means that, any sort of Walmart or any store that you go into, clothing, food, anything, all those products come by trucks to that store. So there's this big ecosystem of trucking around any town and anywhere really.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way they the way they communicate, like the truckers with the stores, is via an application that, like, hey, here's the load that we have, and this is the time you have to sort of pick it up and drop it off. And so I went, and at the peak of that startup, I incorporated in February of 2024, and at the peak we had 13 members working on this, some from India, like contractors, and we developed a minimum viable product. And I was like, okay, great, let's go to market now. And I called up like 250 trucking companies and potential ideal customer profiles, and realized that there's a big problem that I missed, which is, if there's a bad acting truck, there's a trucker that is sort of like it's trying to steal or something like that. And he picks up a $300,000 load that wants to pick up from A and drop off from B, but he steals that. I would have to be, or my company have to be viable for that.
Oh, wow.
Because we're sort of mediating these two parties with a
There's responsibility there.
Yeah. And so I needed a $5 million insurance right off the bat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which would take a very big chunk of the company. And it just didn't seem like the optimal path for my first vendor. So then I had a major pivot, actually January of this year, after a full year and a bit working on that. And I went to voice AI agents. So what those are. So imagine you call up a business, and I see a future that in a foreseeable future, every business that you call, there will be an artificial intelligence answering you and sort of, booking you appointments and answering general inquiries. And so I saw this pain point for home service businesses like plumbing, HVAC, electrical, that, if you were calling a plumber and you have a plumbing emergency, if they don't answer, you would just call the next plumber. Like, you don't really care about that business specifically. And they have somewhere around 25 to 30% missed call rate. And each missed call translates to, money per se.
Yeah,
so there's a big pain point.
Yes.
And we created the minimum viable product. I had a team of 3 to 4.
Okay.
And we went to the market again. But this time, I was more involved. Like, when I was creating the product, I was also talking to my potential clients. And this is where I maybe missed out on my first vendor, because I was just heads down coding because that's what I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
We did it for 6 months, and I was like, okay, when my product is done, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get clients. This is no brainer.
The world. Yeah.
Yeah. But that definitely didn't happen. And this time I was talking and creating it as well. And what I realized is that I called up 122 plumbers in Vancouver and Victoria. And what I realized is that they had a similar solution, but some of the potential clients that would call the business, they would realize that it's an AI and they would hang up.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to talk to that
A machine. They feel like they're
technology.
talking to a machine.
Yeah. And so I realized the technology there is not mature enough right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually about 10 days ago, I pivoted to what I am currently, which is Sarava.ai, which is sort of goes into the back-end systems. So right now I create AI systems and automations for B2B, for businesses, for lead generation, and sort of just in the back end, because voice AI agent is in the front end, you're talking to clients and stuff like that. But this is in the back end, so no client would think about what's going on in the back end of the business, but it will actually be some AI that will be incorporated by what I do. And long story short, this is what I want to do. Now, many people that graduate, they want to go work at Google, Amazon, a FAANG company, but I truly strive and thrive for entrepreneurship and creating something out of nothing myself, and that's what I love to do.
Sounds like you're really good at it. I mean, even though there were a couple of missing pieces with what you already did, you got a lot of practice, right? You've really done a thing that it must have been really challenging, and you created it. It's just that there was a flaw, right?
Exactly. I think what it comes down to, there's 2 things that an entrepreneur should master. One is consistency. So you have to be consistent every single day. Even if you don't feel like working or doing what you're supposed to do, you have to do it. There's no other way. If you want to succeed and sort of thrive in this ecosystem, you have to do it. And the second one is never giving up. So after my first company failed, I was tens of thousands of dollars in the hole, and I could have given up, this entrepreneurship is not for me, and I'm just going to take my losses. But, I picked myself up, went back to the next thing, and I actually, I love failures, because even these big conglomerates, Elon Musk, or sort of these big names that you see, they failed tens and tens of times, and that's just the name of the game. And so being consistent and never giving up when you fail, that's a recipe for success.
It's really interesting that you said that, because I just did an interview this morning with Art Proctor. And one of the things he said is, I value my failures because that's how I learn and that's how I move ahead. And it's really, really true. You really have to almost embrace your failures so that you can learn from them, right?
Exactly. That's very valuable, and that's what I tell everyone. I think failures are just a part of success, inevitable. They will happen, and just don't give up.
Yeah,
And learn from your mistakes.
yeah, exactly. I always ask a question about bullying because I've worked in the field of bullying prevention for a long time. And so I always ask my interviewees about that if they have a story. Do you have a story about bullying where mindfulness would have made a difference?
Bullying, I have not experienced that personally myself. And actually, I want to ask you this. So how do you define mindfulness?
How do I define mindfulness?
Yes.
Well, I believe, like you said, mindfulness is living in the moment. Mindfulness is being aware of your thoughts and being able to redirect your thoughts and be in that place where you can just let go and let your thoughts flow so that you're not all caught up in the mind chatter that so often goes on. And so if you can take that time to meditate or to be in nature where you can just clear your mind. Now, you're not going to clear your mind entirely, probably. There are going to be thoughts, there's going to be activity in your mind, and that's okay. But mindfulness is getting to that point where you're aware and you are aware of how to let go.
Oh, yes, definitely. In the bullying genre, I haven't experienced this, so I don't want to speak too much about it, but I have heard stories that people commit suicide, unfortunately,
They
and
do.
sort of take their life. And, it's not a joking manner, so I think the things that you were doing for sort of helping them out is so important and valuable. So I admire you for that. But I couldn't speak too much about it because I haven't experienced it myself.
And so what about even as a business person with your initiatives that you've done? Have you ever run into challenges where somebody tried to undercut you or somebody tried to cheat you or something like that, and it almost felt like you were being attacked, like in a bullying situation?
Oh, 100%. I'm 23, so when I went to these big meetings or going to a trucking company with like thousands of truckers, they just didn't take me seriously. They're like, who is this young guy coming into our industry? Because all of them are conglomerate and older towards the older side. And so this is sort of part of the game. I don't see it as bullying per se.
No.
It's just how you present yourself and sell your vision. That's where it comes down to. And a skill that everyone should master, I believe, is sales. Because every single day we're selling ourselves to the people around us, to potential investors. The Web Summit is a good example of that. And I think being able to articulate your thoughts in a way that is persuasive is a very powerful tool. And that's how I angle it per se. Because when you say bullying, it sort of means that you have no control over. There's this third-party entity that just has power over you.
Yeah.
And I believe in my way of thinking that I want nothing to have power over me. And so I sort of steer it in another direction and look at it that way, that what can I do to position myself in the best way in those sort of maybe negotiations or when they're not taking me seriously? How can that be to my advantage? So maybe I can work harder in my private time so they don't see me coming, but actually creep up and potentially be trouble to them. So that's where I look at it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. As we move forward in the interview, I'd like to ask you 5 quick answer questions. So just 30-second answers are perfect. The first one is this: who is one person that has been a really powerful inspiration for you in this whole area of mindfulness and being focused?
One word that comes to mind, he is Alex Hormozi.
Oh yeah,
You know him?
I do.
Oh yeah, he's the GOAT, as they say, of business.
Yes.
And he's actually half Persian as well, which I am Persian, and
Okay.
that's definitely who he is.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Wonderful, yeah.
Yeah. My second question is about your emotions. How do you use mindfulness to deal with your emotions, or how has mindfulness helped you to deal with your emotions?
The fact is, I don't think it's a good thing, but sometimes put my emotions under the rug and I go with what I need to do. It's sort of like more logic per se. So if I'm feeling down, I still do what is required. So emotions don't affect me much, and I think that would be the answer, yeah.
Okay. And do you have a breathing practice or any thoughts about breathing where, you could maybe suggest something about breathing, how it could make a difference?
Yes, I think being in flow and understanding your breath is very powerful. What I do usually is I sort of like crisscross my legs. I sort of just put my hands on my knees and I just close my eyes for 10-15 minutes, put an alarm if I need to, and just don't think about anything. Any thought that comes to mind, I just sort of blow it out with my breath. So I take it in, any thoughts, I blow it out, and that's what I do. It's just so relaxing and just puts me right back to 100%.
Oh, that's fantastic. Are there any books that you would recommend that are somehow related to mindfulness or being focused, being grounded?
I haven't read many books on that,
Yeah.
but one book that I read and I loved is the bibliography of Elon Musk by
yeah.
Victor Isaacson. I mean, fascinating book. And so I would recommend that. It sort of just goes into the life of him, and I used to look up to him because he's a fantastic engineer.
Yes.
But now he may be potentially controversial, but that's...
But there's still a lot to learn from him and his journey.
100%. And
Yeah.
anyone that tries to undermine his work is not valid, in my opinion.
Right. Are there any apps that you would recommend that could help someone be more focused, be more mindful, or more grounded?
I don't use those apps per se, but actually there's a setting that on my phone that I just press it and my screen goes black and white.
Oh,
And I use that a lot because if you look at your phone, the colors are attractive to you and it sort of draws you to your phone longer. And there has been studies that if you put it on black and white, on average, you use it 30% less.
cool.
And so that's a technique that I use to sort of just not make it as attractive and be in the real world more.
So that's a specific app that does that?
No, it's in the settings.
Oh, it's in the settings.
And the
Okay.
same, but
Your
I've created into an icon app version. It's easy. You just search it up on Google, like how to do so, and create it into an app. So I click on it, black and white, click on it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, as we wrap up the interview, do you have any final words of advice for anyone who might be listening today?
The name of the game is to be consistent. I think that's what I have for anyone. And another thing that I'd like to say is that life is short. Like, life is too short. So if you right now are in a place that you don't like what you're doing, it's not worth it just for like a couple more, like some extra money or whatever it is. I think it's much more valuable and fulfilling to go out there and do what you really enjoy and love to do. So I would have an advice for everyone to try and understand what you really enjoy in life and pursue that.
Sadra, it's been great having you on the show. I really am impressed with what you've done with your life at this young age of 23. You've got your whole life in front of you, and that's so exciting. Thank you for being on Mindfulness Mode.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I'm at a little booth here, and I just wanted to do a huge shout out to Web Summit and the team for sort of sponsoring me and inviting me to this event. It's truly an honor to be part of the biggest tech event ever. And there's attendees from 117 different countries that are coming, and there's over 15,700 sort of people attending, which is fascinating. And special thanks to Catherine for sort of giving me the invite, and truly honored. And I will try to give you guys more content. This is the first day, and I wish you guys are enjoying this. And if you guys want to see more of this sort of content, please make sure to leave a comment and let me know, and I'll be happy to do so. I believe World Cup is coming to North America very soon, and to all my listeners from all around the world, if there's events that you guys have and you'd like me to sort of be there or meet me, I would be honored to. So just email me at sadra.manucherry@gmail.com. But again, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Web Summit team and everyone, and see you guys in the next shot. Hello guys, today we have Jose.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Getting used to the Web Summit, the Vancouver weather, but looking good. Yeah.
Yes. So for the guests that may not know you, you are a founder and you're from Uruguay.
Yes.
So I could maybe, touch on your experiences, but it's best that you do. Can you start us off with how you scaled your business from zero to where it is currently?
Okay. So when we first started this journey, I was just a freelancer working with a friend of mine. We wanted to change the way we were building software at the time. So we started getting some contracts, some smaller jobs, some side jobs as we had our main job. But then the workload kept growing and growing. And one of our clients said, okay, I want as many hours that you can give me. So we said, okay, yeah, let's do it. We started growing from there, keeping one job at a time, fully bootstrapped without any sort of outside investment, which is a slow journey, but a stable one also, because you know that everything that you do is yours. So yeah, we started growing slowly, getting some clients here in the US, some in Canada, and just trying to grow organically.
So for people that don't know exactly what you do, what do you do exactly?
Okay, so I'm co-founder of a software agency. We partner up with startups to help them developing their products or assisting their developer teams or their design needs. And what we try to do is to be tech partners, be all along the journey that is building a digital product, and help you all the way, help you define your requirements, help you get down from the idea to the MVP and everything that comes after.
Right, so sort of in the trenches with these companies.
Yeah.
And where are you at currently? So how many team members are there, and what's maybe like potential revenue, and like sort of where are you at this stage?
We have a team of about 20 people. We have a strong team of collaborators. We are at a stage where we want to keep growing. That is one of the main reasons that we're here, because we had some really great experiences with Canadian teams, and we want to expand our network here. So yeah, looking for new opportunities. Luckily, we are getting our revenue to keep growing. So yeah, trying to find exciting projects and exciting people also.
So as a founder, that you've sort of got the company from just yourself and your co-founder that I met last night to where it is that 20 members that you have. What's sort of the steps that each founder should go through to get to your level? And also, what are some setbacks that maybe people don't know about usually?
Yeah, well, I think that regarding our journey, since my co-founder and I are both from an engineer background, we didn't really know much about managing an agency and selling and marketing and all that. And that has been a big struggle for us, a struggle that we are slowly getting used to it. And a couple of years ago, we wouldn't even dare to come up to events and just try to sell and talking to random people. But we are getting used to. And I think that one of the biggest challenges as building this is handling the uncertainty. Um, Once you do sort of this agency life, you never know for how much longer you're going to have work, and the contracts, how much are they going to stay with you, because frequently it goes much way more than just the word of your clients. Sometimes it has to answer to economical factors that are from the country, whatever. So managing that anxiety of not knowing exactly when you're gonna get out of work is something that is difficult, and sometimes you might be tempted to just say yes to any opportunity that pops up. And I think that that is a huge mistake. I feel that every client that you have is a partner in your growth, and it's a relationship that needs to be honored, and you should take jobs that will actually make you grow, and your clients also, so you can grow together.
Wow, you touched on a very, very good point, which is you actually reject some of the clients that are maybe not fully aligned with the mission of your company.
Yes.
So why do you think that's so important to maybe say no to some and be very specific into the clientele that you intake?
Yeah. I feel that as you are getting into a relationship whenever project, and it's a relationship that, as any other relationship, is built on trust, of course. And because so many people are sort of betting a lot of stuff when they are building their startups, and they're pretty much trying to achieve their dreams, some of these people, so they can get really emotional. And you want someone that certainly knows that you have their back, and the other way around, because developing software, even though you get to, there's a lot of code and there's a lot of like science and structure, it is still sometimes more of an art than a strict process. So it can be a bit messy sometimes, but if you are connecting with the right people, the journey is way better.
I understand. So sort of making sure that you provide the maximum value
Yes.
to the clients.
Yeah.
Just as a side note, if you can quickly touch on it, when you're looking to accept a client into your company, what key 3 criteria, if you can maybe list down for us, are you looking for maybe the best client you could work with?
Yeah. First of all, it has to be a client that is open to collaboration, to hear our input. We are not just a gun for hire, we want to provide our value, and those are sort of the best clients, and that's where we actually can show the best of our work, where we can actually provide and add value beyond just coding. Another thing that is super important for us is when clients are just looking for the cheapest provider. We don't try to be the cheapest. We just try to be as professional as we can be, and try to be the best in what we can do and within the reality, right? So I feel that those kind of, if a client is too stressed out about just like be as cheap as possible, or for example, when you're actually developing a product, if they just want to cram as many features as possible because they need to hit a certain amount of features in a crazy timeline, and they aren't ready to hear no, that is a sign for us that it's going to be a difficult relationship. So we try exactly that, to work with clients that are open for collaboration, that are ready to hear our input, and also they are ready to put the work in, because it's a two-player thing. The client has a lot of input. It's not just unidirectional, and they have to be with us to take those decisions and take the product to the next level, actually.
100%. No, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Another last question that I have for you is, why did you choose entrepreneurship, and what sort of mindset has it changed in the amount of years that you've been a founder of this company?
Mm-hmm.
What are the key values that you sort of abide by yourself and make yourself accountable to?
Yeah. So back when we were, even years before we started this, so my father, he's an engineer also, and he sort of had his own thing, and it's pretty common for developers and all that in Uruguay to have sort of their own things going on. So a lot of friends would ask me, "Are you going to do your own thing, or do you want to, work in a company for someone else?" I know there's some people that really have that craving of being sort of their own boss and work under their conditions and want to build their own thing. But I never was actually one of those people. I was like perfectly fine working for someone else, as long as sort of I get challenged professionally every single day and I get a place to grow, and I would chase interesting projects. But there was a point that wasn't really happening, so I said, okay, I'm gonna take this by myself. I'm gonna find the cool projects for me. I'm gonna try to do things my way, because there was also a mindset in that sort of stage in the industry, maybe like 10 years ago, that there was a lot of money going for app development, but the products were just so rough, and we wanted to actually start building good software. And that's what sort of motivated to start growing my own thing. It was more out of a professional necessity and a challenge, searching for a challenge, as opposed to something to be just like self-fulfilling. And one of the things that I'm trying to hold accountable for, and it's one of the things that is more, I think, that really difficult to keep in mind, is to remind myself that this is something that I'm building. I'm the one, as with my co-founder, obviously, right? But we are the ones that define the conditions under how we work. So if we are stressed, it's because we are allowed to be stressed. So I keep trying to remind myself, make it fun, have fun, because you don't want later to remember your startup years, your agency life, and say, oh, that was so stressful. When right now we are doing some really great work. We are connecting with amazing people, amazing challenges. But yeah, you have to sometimes slow it down and be able to recognize all the work that you are doing and how much you are growing and how much your team is growing with you. We've seen people that they are starting with us as junior developers and they are growing, and nowadays it's amazing how much they are achieving. And yeah, that's wonderful. And sometimes you sort of lose the side of it.
Yes, I definitely agree. Sort of when you're in the journey, you're caught up with this client, that client, and you can lose the overall vision of where you're headed. And also, I actually see that in founders, that when they are striving for the challenge and want to be challenged, they're actually the best kind of founders, because they're not striving to be stagnant. And we see that many people, that when they have a job, they don't seek the challenge and they get left behind, because technology is advancing at insane rates every single year.
Yes.
And if you're striving to learn every step of the way, then that will never happen to you theoretically.
So yeah, trying to find that challenge, always being that sort of continuous growth and learning, that is one of our biggest core values. Every single new hire that we have, it's really common for developers to be like, oh, I'm a React developer, or I'm an X-Tech developer. And what we really try to do is, no, do you want to be a React developer, for example, or do you want to be an engineer, or do you want to build different things, build solutions? Because if you only are thinking through one technology, you're missing a lot of learning, and technology goes fast. A couple of years ago, maybe everything was being built on, I don't know, Angular. Now everything is being built with React. Now everything is being built through AI assistant tools or whatever. So the landscape, exactly, the landscape changed so fast that if you aren't focused on growing also and open to the different possibilities, it's a tough environment. You need to be finding that challenge. You need to be able to grow, especially now that technology is moving way fast, more fast than it has been in the last couple of years.
Exactly, Jose. I appreciate you bringing this up, that, always striving to learn, because if you are not, you really will be left behind. Yeah. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
a pleasure being able to chat with you.
Yes,
Yep.
and I wish you all the best with the company and with your future endeavors.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, hello guys. Thanks, bro. So far, Web Summit has been amazing, honestly. I sort of love the fact of these events just going on, just in general. The beautiful thing about connecting is you never know who you're gonna meet. Like, for example, I went to a booth and I started talking to this guy, and he has $430 million exit just for himself and a $1.5 billion for his company. And so he looked like a normal dude. And so the power of connection really goes a long way, in the sense that when you're connecting, it's just knowing the person from the within and just purely from curiosity approaching it. I think that's the most powerful fact, and that's when true meaningful connections come in. And I hope you guys find value in this episode and sort of the different sections that I'm doing in this, because I'm trying to bring the light and maybe give you guys some value of how to connect effectively in this world, because this is a world of connections and everything comes from that, even in job and powerful and meaningful interactions with fellow humans around the world. And that's where you can truly take it that step further and achieve greatness in life. So this is a little section. I was supposed to have a podcast with a friend, but I just wanted to sort of tell you guys that. And also, I appreciate you guys watching. It truly means a lot that you guys value this episode, and I hope you guys learned something from it as well. All right, so this section's done. Let's jump into the episode. Hello, guys. Today we have Hossein. Hossein, thank you for coming on.
Pleasure, Sadra.
I must say, you are very good at connecting with people and just sort of finding that rhythm with good quality communications. So how do you approach someone that you don't know and just start it off? And what sort of sequences do you remind yourself when you're doing so?
Good question. I think part of that is a bit of experience, but part of that is because I started events for something that was very selfish. I'm a recovering, what do you call it? I'm a recovering person that's stage fright. I used to have very much stage fright, and I'm recovering out of that. So the way that I attacked that was to make events and make sure I'm on the stage. So after a while, I got better at it. And after a while, I got better at reading body language. So you can kind of certain somewhat tell when you can approach someone or when you can't by their body language. This is non-approachable. This is approachable. These are things that pretty much a lot of people do know already. But you can kind of pay attention to that. So if you want to make a good connection with someone, see if they are approachable. That would be the first thing. The second thing is, if you know someone, you approach them very warmly and you have an open conversation. You don't shake hands like this. You shake hands like this with full hands. Makes them feel more easily trustable with you. They can open up better. And you make it as informal as possible. This is not a business transaction. I would like to authentically get to know you. That's generally what I do.
Right, so that's how you approach it. It's just general curiosity into the person.
Absolutely.
So what made you put yourself out there from sort of like a shy man that you were? What made you make that transition? What kind of advice would you have for people that maybe feel like they're too scared to go out there and make those connections?
Two-part question. First part, what made me want to change that is I actually intentionally wanted to be someone that was better on stage, because I had seen my colleagues that were so, like Tom Sopwith, shout out, the guy is he would go on stage in front of 250 professionals and he would train them on a specific subject. and it was so natural at it. So I'm like, that's the characteristics of someone I would like to have. So I just went after that. That was one. And then what was the second part of the question again?
And then what advice would you have for people who want to get out there? Like really, I know the generic question potentially would be the generic answer would be to sort of just practice.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game, truly. But maybe is there something else that you would advise as well, other than that?
Besides that, I don't know if there's any sort of secret thing for everybody finds their own way of trying to figure it out. There was a guy I was having a conversation with downstairs. He's a CEO or no, he's not a CEO. He's a product owner at a tech firm, and he was about to pitch. I actually missed it because we got distracted with everything else, but he was very scared of being on that stage. So he's like asking me, hey, can you give me some advice? And I'm just telling him some of the things that and it kind of helped him a little bit. Some of the things that I've done in terms of practice. I just put myself out. Like, I remember the first event that I threw, there was only 13 people. Half of them I knew. He wasn't there yet, but half of them I knew. And I was still scared of talking in front of those people. What if I say something wrong? What if they ask questions that I don't know? You just eventually become okay with that, and you learn how to deal with it. The second event, 30 people were there. I met this guy there, and I felt a lot more comfortable. So again, the more you put yourself into those uncomfortable positions, the more you're like, okay, maybe this isn't as big as I think it is. And I'm thinking everybody else think this is a huge thing, but they're not.
Yeah, exactly. Overthinking it is a big problem.
Yeah.
Man.
Put yourself in a position. Be eager to learn. That show on Apple, you know, the soccer coach, what's the name of that show? Remember that? What was the name of that show on Apple TV? Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso. There's a quote that he quoted from another person, Walt Whitman, and the quote is, be curious, not judgmental. It applies to a lot of things in life. So be curious about a certain thing that you yourself are afraid of. Why am I afraid of this? Well, great. Now that you know your why, do something about it. Put yourself in a position that is challenging. It's okay to be scared of it.
I was saying, do it anyway. It was amazing talking to you.
No worries.
See you guys in the next one. Hello, guys. We have Muhammad Imran.
Yeah.
If you can just quickly and briefly give a background from start to where you are now currently.
Well, it's a very good question. So from the start, I'll tell you, I lived in California, loved it. I graduated from California State University, Sacramento. I had lovely friends in California. Then I moved to Dubai. I went to Pakistan. I worked in IT for 10 years now. Moved back in Vancouver about a year ago. And I started my own startup here. So I'm trying to fill the gap. I know a lot of startups and small, medium companies have some challenges, and I'm here to help them, solve those challenges.
Yeah, so off camera we spoke and you sort of do a bit of consulting per se.
Right. So, see, my company is Berry Cloud Technologies, and my background is in project management. So I'm a project consultant in technology. So we have a framework we follow that, from initiation, analysis, design, development, testing, and deployment, and to the customer support. We have the whole framework we provide to the customers, from resources and to the team. So myself, I'm a consultant, and I build team for technology partners as well.
So an effective team, right? It's usually that if we have, for example, 10 developers or 10 of the same domain, it's just not going to work.
Right.
So if I could ask you, what's the MVP of an effective team? So maybe certain individuals with certain backgrounds that would make sort of like the perfect framework in your mind.
if you look at the industry standards right now, there are a lot of standards you can use. One of them is Scrum framework, where we have agile, methodology and team. Every team has a value to give. In my opinion, in technology, you need to have business analysts, you need to have front and back end developers, we need to have a lead to lead those developers, we need to have a designer, and designers should have hierarchy, a team of designers who what person designs and one should approve it as well. So it comes in branding, a lot of different factors could come into that. One more team member I would say is coming from the business side. So business analyst is there to bridge the gap between business and technology, but the business should have one leader who could direct the business to the technology so they can create value together. So I think this is my approach as per the team.
So you said you also spent some time in Dubai.
Yeah. It was a lovely story because when I moved from California, I went to Dubai. I lived there for about 2 years. Lived in the in technology world over there as well. I have seen there's a lot of projects going on in Dubai as well. Even in Middle East, I would say Saudi Arabia is pretty growing. And yeah, so things are happening very fast, very quick, and AI is taking over as well. Everyone wants to invest in AI. Right now, they are seeing a lot of challenges in AI, but I'm pretty sure soon the AI will be helping everyone in the community.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's sort of like the hype. AI, quantum, robotics, these three fields.
Right.
And it will truly, I believe, change the grasp and the scope of the world we live in, like very drastically.
Correct, yeah.
And so I've never personally been to Dubai, but I've heard about it. This has changed a lot in the past, maybe 15 to 20 years, from a desert to a very utopia, sort of.
Yeah.
So if you could speak, like, how's the culture there and what sort of mindset they have, maybe the government first, and also the people there that they've grown so drastically.
I'll tell you, when I was born in Pakistan. I grew up in Pakistan. I went to elementary school there. When I was a teen, I moved to California. And at that time, there was a lot, even at that time in Dubai, innovation was starting when I was a kid. And when I went to Dubai, I have seen Burj Khalifa, one of the tallest buildings. And this is just one of the projects, and there are other different projects, even in the sports, in technology. They have grown so much. The government, they support innovation, and people are the most polite people, I would tell you. I have experienced the incidents where I've left my phone somewhere.
Oh, very safe, yeah.
And I went home and I realized, I was right on the street, and I went back and it was there. So it's just one of the examples, and I was not doing an experiment; it was for real. So things happen and people are nice, and they all follow the law. And it's everywhere in the world right now, everyone is trying to grow. And the best way is to grow together, hand in hand. Right now, there are other parts of the world they're innovating as well. Yeah.
You just touched on growth. So if I can ask you, what's the mindset that you have to grow the most effectively, and sort of the growth mindset that they talk about? What do you have to say about it?
The one thing that humanity loves is growth, because we love each other, we work together, but if there is no growth, there will be a gap. So everyone wants to grow, and everyone likes to grow. I love it. So my methodology or my philosophy is that we need to adopt a framework of growth as a entrepreneur, project consultant, or if I am working with a team, a customer, I will have a framework where we have team that can grow. We need to have a project that they're working on should grow, and the overall environment and the company, they should grow as well. There are different frameworks are available. For example, you can do governance, team governance, project governance, product governance. When we have, we can govern a team and work to improve or growth for the team and for the technology they're working on. We can grow definitely. So it starts with accountability. Once everyone have the accountability, they have common goal they're working on, and they have a framework where to start and execute and monitor and then deliver to the end.
Mohammed, amazing speaking to you.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
Yeah, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you guys for watching. Next segment. Hello, guys. Today we have Sina Musavi.
Yeah.
Co-founder of Allo AI.
Yeah. So happy to be here. It is actually, it's been a while that we were going to have a podcast together, but
Yeah. So maybe they don't know the story. Initially, I reached out to you about a year ago, like a full year ago, and you introduced me to Masood.
Yeah.
Rashidpur, been on the episode twice now, and it sparked up this whole thing. So it was supposed to be you at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we finally are making that happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. I know you incorporate this mindset of excellence. How did you go about incorporating that and maybe utilizing it in your life?
Well, that's a good question. So if I want to give you a brief about myself first and then get into the details after is, so about 2 and something years back, Masood and I founded Allo AI. Just out of a problem that we have encountered. We were gonna book an appointment for my brother. He had a really bad toothache and everything. We couldn't find any dental clinic to for him to get in. After 10 to 12 attempts, we finally find the right dental clinic that they were available. They were answer our call and everything. So yeah, to cut a long story short, out of that tiny problem, we made Allo AI. We had many ups and downs. You have no idea how hard it was for us to make that the solution that we had in our mind initially into a viable product that right now there are more than there are many clinics in the US that are currently using on a daily basis. It is really useful for them, the amount of value that we are bringing to all of those, not only the clinics, but also those patients who are always, before our solution, they were always, being kept in hold and everything for a really good amount of time. So this is a time that they're spending, and so Masood and I both really happy with the impact that we are right now making. Initially, and ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to make that impact to the society, to the people. So that basically what fascinates me. So anything about making a big impact, a good influence to the society for social good and everything just makes me feel alive
and so relaxed and everything, that I am doing my job in a way that that I should do. So yeah, we are happy in that sense. And I can circle back to my background before me getting to Canada. So I started my innovation journey, I would say, back when I was 14 years old. I have invented a gadget for, I just called it like safe CPR. It was, at that time, it was one of the kind. And I had a really good traction with that. I went to the Khwarazmi Festival. It was a famous festival in Iran. I got into some international exhibition and competition in Geneva, and got recognized as a INV title holder at IFIA, the International Federation of Inventors. And I've always wanted to, innovate things, invent things, and provide all of those, values to the people. And so that's how all of these things actually, came along and to the way it is right now. So aside from Allo AI and everything like that, I mean, I have gone through other solutions, and the other ways that I found myself, where I can bring the most value to the people. So it was another thing that I've, it started with a group of, professional people out of state. It was so it's a dentist exclusive social media platform. So it's like LinkedIn-like, but we just gather all of the dentist-only users under one umbrella, and where they can. So the whole mission is we are bridging the gap between the clinical side of dentistry and the business side of dentistry. And we had a really good traction in that. And we're still working on the final product and everything. We are testing it on a daily basis with our beta users. It is going well as well. And one thing that I want to tell you right now, I just wanted to share that before the episode. I didn't have a chance to tell you that. So I've been doing this me taking the, my career and, the startups and everything serious over the past 2 years, I would say. And I found it really interesting. It was really good. I mean, if I ever wanted to name you one thing that I love, it's just being in these startups and these innovative atmosphere, for sure. But I just came to this realization that you can do more. And I think there are like other areas that you could there are like other areas that could benefit from you more than this. So it's not that I don't like the whole thing that I've been doing over the past couple of years, but the industry and the amount of impact that I'm actually having on the people. So over the last couple of months, I have discovered other verticals and other industries. So what actually fascinated me a lot, I mean, I was in Iran. I had a really short travel. I mean, it wasn't that short. I was in for like 2 months or something. Yeah. So I was there for like 2 months, and I was realizing, wow, there are like many opportunities that the government, that the people, they're all missing out, and no one's is like taking advantage of it. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening to these people? What is happening to our to my country and everything? So the things that I realize is why a rich country like Iran, who has a substantial amount of resources, the energy, the oil and gas, etc., why they are right now facing with this massive power outage on a daily basis. Why is that? There is one answer to this question, and is mismanagement. Mismanagement, and which actually leads to all of these crazy problems that people are facing on a daily basis. So we right now we are witnessing like 2 to 4 hours power outage and everything, to mostly all of the big cities and the rural and urban area in Iran. So where am I going with this? It was a podcast that I was listening the last summertime. It was about energy. It was about the Kardashev scale. I don't know if you're familiar with. And right now, if you're familiar with it, maybe you can explain to our audience what is this scale is about, so that I can move forward and explain my point of view and everything. You can.
Yeah, so the Kardashev scale is where civilization goes. I think there's 3 or 4 different levels.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe we're at 0.72 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, or 0.76.
So we are at zero. We are at 0.7 out of that 3. So we are not even close to. I mean, we are close to 1, but there is a long way to go.
Yeah. So what it means is how able are you to manipulate your planet? That's level 1. So when you get to 1, you have 100% control over all aspects of minerals and just all the energy of the planet you can absorb and maybe utilize. Second scale, this level 2, if you want to get to that, it's the solar system. So being able to extract the sun's energy and manipulate maybe planets per se, that's a Kardashev scale 2 civilization. And then level 3 is the galaxy. So the Milky Way, being able to just play around with stars and manipulate orbits, and it's very far-fetched in our brains, but it's a possibility in the foreseeable future if everything goes correct. And level 4 is multiple galaxies. Then you're just pretty much God, indistinguishable from God to our standpoint currently. Yeah. So that's what it is. So quickly explain it, and let's wrap up. But where are you going with? I didn't even know about this.
Oh, yeah. So
the energy, yeah.
Yeah, the energy. So if I want to, make everything super short here, is so the level 1 Kardashev. So the Kardashev 1 is where our civilization can, manage, control the reusable energy and not be reliant on any sorts of, the fossil fuel and oil and gas and everything like that. So that's where we are. We are all into the nuclear energy, the solar energy that we are getting from the sun, and and anything. I mean, all sorts of reusable energy that we are having right now. So we'll be fully reliant on those sorts of energy sources than the traditional and those fossil fuels and everything. So I was thinking, if I could have this big impact, I can be in this industry. I mean, it's not something that fascinates me. I mean, maybe it is big to some extent, but it's not big in my mind. So I've always craved for more and more and more, for that bigger impact and everything. So yeah, so I have gone over some fundamental problems that people in this field are currently facing, mostly in solar panels and the efficiencies of, for the the conversion of the sun to the electricity, and the battery storage and these kind of stuff. And I have talked to some of the subject matter experts, and we are on our way to make something really great happening. And it's not something and it's not 1 year or 2 years plan or program or something like that. It is something that requires me to be all in for the next decade or something at least. And that's where I am going right now.
I didn't even know that. And I've known this guy for a while now.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years and something that we know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm going. I know it's it's a big difference. I still have a lots of knowledge gaps. I don't know anything about that field, right? But I was like, I know it is the so if I want to stay right now, where I am right now, it would be a certain point, right? I don't like certain, I don't like certain, the certainty to be.
You want unknown, you want the challenge.
I want the unknown and challenge or something, because that's what fascinates me. I want to do something that is new, that is unique, that is innovative, that is disruptive, and
Extraordinary.
extraordinary. Exactly, that's the word.
Well, I'll be alongside you, seeing your progress.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for watching. All right, hello guys, welcome to another episode of Think Forward Podcast. Matt, it's amazing having you.
Yeah, good to see you.
So we have Matt and Masood, obviously.
Yeah, thank you so much for nice to meet you. Yeah, we got introduced to each other about 30 minutes ago. Yeah, less than that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time. And we met a couple days ago. But
yeah, we met each other 2 nights ago. But the first question that I had, so you're a fractional CFO.
Mm-hmm.
Can you walk us through, sort of from the initial, what took you and what steps did you take to get to the level that you are? Maybe just a brief story about your journey.
Yeah, okay. So I've been a founder many times, several different businesses, some successes, some not. And then a couple of those businesses were in finance. So that was my first foray into finance. But as a founder, you end up wearing all the hats. And so I've had roles in, I've been CEO, I've been in sales, I've been in marketing, operations, you name it. So, and that gave me a good strategic background. Eventually I went back and got my MBA with a focus on entrepreneurship. And so we did a lot of finance deep dive there. So that leveled me up quite a bit from the finance front. And then for the last 10 years, I've been doing management consulting, freelance consulting, but most of that time as fractional CFO. It started out as more broad, but then I narrowed it just to have more of a focus, partly because I'm good at it, and but also because there's a need for it. So
So you mentioned you've been in several areas of startups. That's especially they say that the CEOs have to put on many hats.
Yeah.
Why did you choose finance out of all of them?
Yeah, from a consulting standpoint, you don't need there's no fractional CEO, right?
No.
So
You need a full-time CEO.
yeah, so you have to have a focus in any business. You can't be all things to everybody, right? No matter what if you're good at all of those things, you still can't sell that. So you have to have a focus. And I'm really good at financial modeling. I'm good at valuations. I'm good at strategic finance. I'm really good at raising money, and all those pieces are great for fractional CFOs. And that is a common need in startups, especially early stage. But and I enjoy it. I can do it remotely, and and it also the fractional piece affords me the flexibility to it affords me the flexibility to have my own projects as well beyond just my clients. So.
Yeah, and it's great that, you always have people that love the job. It's not just for the money that they're doing it, but they love just doing it, being in that environment, talking to those kind of people. And what's the right way to approach? Because when we approached you, you had your badge upside down. And you were like, people bug me all the time. I don't want to get bugged. People just come pitch to me. They ambush me. So what do you think is the right approach for a startups? You said that you do pre-seed, earliest stage, all the way down to Series A and B, right?
Typically, yeah. Beyond A or B, depending on the company, people usually have a full-time CFO already, so there's no need for the fractional, and I'm not opposed to doing that. For
What's the right approach? Should they be doing that? Should they hear a lot of no's from investors, just try to, ambush investors from different places and try to see if they can get a yes? Or should there be a different approach to that?
Absolutely needs to be a different approach. Investors invest in people they know and trust. I was at South by Southwest this year, and I was in a group of investors, and the speaker asked the group how many people in the room had invested in the past year in somebody that they knew less than 12 months, and not a single person raised their hand. They all knew their the founders at least a year. One of them said, well, there was one deal, I only knew them for 6 months. So it's relationships, right? So you need to be at events like this, at Web Summit or South by Southwest. You need to be, most cities have lots of events on a regular basis. You need to be developing those contacts. And then you make a contact, and they'll introduce you to another, hey, this isn't a fit for me, but my buddy, it might be his or her thesis, right? So then you talk to that person, and so it's all relationships.
So the question that I have is, what are the top qualities that you're looking for when investing in a company? Is it you only look at the founder per se, you look at the team, the structure? What are the things that you're looking for?
There's obviously a number of factors. Team is important. Market size and competition are important. So you're positioning there. One of the mistakes. Let me answer it in the negative, actually, because one of the mistakes that 9 out of 10 or maybe 99 out of 100 founders make is that they focus on the solution, on their product, because they're really excited about it. They're really good at it. They've built this software or this gadget or whatever it is, right? And that's great, but that's only a small piece of the pitch, and that's only a small piece of the puzzle. Investors, you can sort of scan the one sentence thing on the board at a booth or whatever, and get the gist of it. But I want to understand who the person is. I want to understand what their traction is, what customers they have, or if they don't have, how soon are they going to have customers? Do you have any pilots or MOUs? And all those things are important. Market size is obviously important. Does your team have experience? Do they have any exits or at least prior experience in that industry or with other startups? So these are the kinds of questions that are far more important than just don't just data dump your tech on me. You walk up to some of these booths at the trade show floor here, and they just talk about their tech for 5 minutes, and you're like, ask me a question maybe, find out who I am, and let's have that personal connection, and eventually, sure, we can talk about the tech, but keep it high level, so.
And Matt, you mentioned that this whole investments round that startups go through is all relational. It's just like client acquisition. With clients, you also need to be in the market. You have to show up to them so that the clients trust you. It's not just about the software that you sell. Mm-hmm. The clients have to see you in the market. They have to see you being active. They have to see you progressing. And after that, they're going to open up to you and and be willing to sit down on a demo with you. It's pretty much the same thing with investors, correct? Mm-hmm. And the idea that gives me, maybe I shouldn't say this in a podcast, but it's just like when you're hitting on a girl. When you're going to the girl just for the relationship, they're going to say no to you. But when you're going there for a relationship, not for the relationship, but for just being friends, get to know them, basically keep that connection open and just, know them more and more, they slowly open up to you. So is it the same thing with investors? If you go there just for their money, it's going to be an immediate no. But if you go there just to get to know them, see what areas they invest in, and basically what they want out of this investment, because at the end of the day, it's a commitment from their end, and also it's an expense that they have to go through. And what they're looking at the end of the day is that they have limited capacity, limited number of companies that they want to invest in, that they want to get their money back like quadrupled, or I don't know, like 5 times more.
Yeah.
So does it work like that? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an apt metaphor that you need to date before you get married, and you can't just like, you've got to sort of go on a coffee date before you're, more committed. So it's in investing and with partnerships and customers. It's all about building those relationships, building that trust. So an example is, one of the fields that I have expertise in is climate tech and especially renewable energy. And I live in Austin, Texas, and there are several different networking groups or meetup events that happen. Let's say most of them are on a monthly basis. And you go to one of these, and these events are specifically for climate tech investments, and so startups and investors go up. And you go to these things, and there'll be somebody new there, and they're just trying to hand their business card out to everybody and ambush the one person who's an investor. And it's like, that investor doesn't care yet. But if you go to that event every month and the other ones as well, and that investor sees you, and you have a drink with them, or and you do this over a year. I've been going to these in this specific vertical for years. I know the investors in that space, and they know me. And so, we chat about whatever other stuff, not even about deals, and we're friends now. And so if I can go to them and say, hey, call up one of these folks and say, hey, I've got something you might be interested. They're gonna take my call, and they're gonna say, yeah, okay, I trust you. I know that you are doing good work, and that if you think this is good, then I should be listening too. And I'm at least going to get that conversation. Are they going to invest? Well, it still has to fit their thesis and go through the diligence process. But that's because I've been, quote, dating them. I've been connecting with them on a human basis, person-to-person basis for years now.
Sort of the last question I have to close this off is, what are some top qualities that you're looking for in the founders? So do they have to incorporate a certain mindset, or do they have to carry themselves a certain way? What exactly are you looking for in that sense?
Yeah, so I would say, and so you're asking as an investor, and so I caveat, I do a little bit of angel investing, and I have a solar project finance fund, and that's why I have the investor badge. But I'm not a VC. I do work with some VCs and do some consulting work for them, and I am here as a fractional CFO. But it's kind of the same answer, because I want to work with the same folks either as an investor or as a fractional CFO. So there's a level of professionalism. Just the first bar is just like personal hygiene and like the way people dress and the way they smell and just like, and even in a tech conference like this, like some of the folks down in the expo hall floor aren't meeting that low bar, right? But along with that, there's just like, as you engage, it's like, are we connecting as people? You go up, and if they're just like, let me pitch you for the next 5 minutes, and you haven't even like said, hi, hello, who are you, where are you from? It's like, okay, I know that you can't sell, and I know that you don't understand how business is done, so you're probably going to have trouble having success unless you sort of grow as a professional, as a person. So I would say that's a piece of it. Obviously, industry experience is helpful, I would say, for the founders and the team. If there's any prior exits, that's always helpful, but obviously everybody's got to start somewhere. So some investors look for that. I don't necessarily need that, but I do need to see, like, okay, do you know how to run a business? And if you don't, are you open-minded to listen to your advisors and to your executives and your generals, if you will? Because there's a lot of ego in tech, and there's a lot of ego in executives and founders that they think that they're the smartest person in the room, and maybe their domain they are, and maybe they have a PhD in biochemistry, or in computer science or something in AI, and so they're really good at that thing. But that doesn't mean they know how to sell. That doesn't mean they know how to build a team and manage a team or grow a business or raise money or all the other things. And maybe they do know that, but I think that the thing that I see a lot of is people, their cup is full, if you will, and there's no room to pour anything new into it, otherwise it'll spill, right? So you want somebody with a, quote, empty cup, to use some Eastern philosophical terms. They should be coachable, they should be open and able to listen, ask good questions and connect and say, oh, okay. Now, do they have to do what I say? Not necessarily, but at least I want to be heard. If I'm going to work as a fractional CFO, I don't want to say, hey, here's what you need to do, or here's what you need to know, and they just completely ignore it. Now, if they say, okay, I hear you, now here's a complication, and we're going to go this direction instead. Okay, great. Now at least I understand that's a dialogue. But when people just are completely uncoachable, it's like, I don't even want to take your money because I'm going to waste, it's going to be a waste, because why pay somebody if you're not going to listen to them at least and occasionally take their advice, right? Yeah. So those are some of the things I look for.
Mr. Sparks, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to ask one last question, completely outside of context. We ask everyone. Okay. You flew in here from Texas, right? It was 6-hour flights.
Austin, Texas. Yeah. It was, there was a layover, so a bit longer, but on the way home, it's direct. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. What's one person that you really wish you could meet here in Web Summit? Could be anyone, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, you name it. I hope it's not me, because you just met me.
Hey, it's you. Hey, Make-A-Wish Foundation. We win. No, this is probably not the kind of answer you're looking for, but I would, beyond just finding clients and investors for my current clients and whatnot, I like to come away from any event I go to, large or small, with a real personal connection, somebody that I could consider a friend and stay in contact with, not necessarily for what I can do for them or they can do for me, but just because we have a real connection. So that can, I don't know who that might be, and necessarily it's not a famous celebrity or anything like that, but just if I came away from this like somebody that I would really look forward to staying in touch with or seeing at the next conference or something, that would be a big win for me. Yeah.
Amazing. So you're basically looking for professional people who are, just looking for relationships, and exactly as you mentioned, for people to just keep in touch, because that later on just opens many doors, and at the end of the day, it's just fun, it's to know more people.
It's fun, and yes, the professional side, but not even that. I mean, just all we need is love, right? So like just, just friends. I mean, friends in the space and whatever, yes, but sure, just friends, people that I respect and enjoy connecting with.
So I'm glad to tell you got yourself 2 good friends.
Yes.
If you accept us as friends. There you go. Thank you so much, Mr. Sparks.
Yeah, and very nice, talking to you.
Yeah.
It's amazing, truly.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. We'll see you next time. Thanks for sticking with us till the end. If you've enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future insights. Check out the videos on the screen right now for more thought-provoking discussions. Your support means the world to us.